John. It's been a busy couple of days here around the UFO world after being so silent for so long. John, I'm waiting for you to talk here.
I know, buddy. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Things are certainly. What? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Wait, this is weird. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay.
So how's it going, John?
There's this weird delay, though.
Yeah,
I keep hearing repeat of what I'm saying.
We're on live radio, dude. We don't have... Okay, we'll bring John back here momentarily in regards to the stories here. But, I mean, we're trying to fix a technical issue here with John. So, I don't know. Sometimes there is a delay there. You know, when we're on live radio, we got to just keep things going here in regards to the show. So John will be back momentarily in regards to that. And while we're waiting for him to get back, we're going to, kind of take a look at some news that's going on here. And, we're going to try connecting him once again here. John, is that better?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. Now I figure out what's going on.
All right. Awesome. So Unbiased UFO Report here, man. What do you got for us? We're off to a rough start here.
Well, it's going to get rougher for some people. Let me tell you. So, I mean, first off, we have our everyone's favorite friend Abby in the news again. This, unfortunately, is not for anything that's going to be news to any of us. But the good news about it is that this is a Scientific America article, and it basically has the title of saying that Avi Loeb says that aliens have visited, and he's not kidding. And that is a pretty provocative headline for Scientific America. Now, does he actually mean that he believes that aliens have visited Earth? Not necessarily, because if you've listened to any of his talks in depth, you'll see that basically his hypothesis is that if Oumuamua is actually from an intelligent group and not just some kind of random event, that itself represents someone visiting us. And so that's what he's referring to. He's not actually referring to, his belief that there are lots of, other things, floating around the planet. But he does have an open mind to those things. And so the cool thing about this article is that it's certainly not meant for us. But what it does do is it starts to desensitize everyone and start getting everyone used to talking about the topic. Even just seeing in print that aliens have visited, right? I mean, just seeing those words in print is going to cause some people a certain amount of shock, and they need to get acclimated to it. So this is all good stuff.
Why do you think Avi Loeb is pushing the ET narrative?
Well, he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Avi is that he's doing what you should do, and he's just following the data. And right now the data is
beautifully put, by the way. Beautifully put.
And the thing is that, I mean, from his point of view, I mean, he's just following the data, and he's he's definitely a really good scientist, and he certainly understands what's going on. He's got an open mind to everything, and so it's not so much that he has an agenda so much. It's just that right now his science is driving him toward his hypothesis that Oumuamua came from some intelligent group, and if that hypothesis supporting data continues to support the hypothesis, therefore it didn't come from around here, right? So it ends up being kind of it's one of the nice things about science is that if you set yourself up correctly, it's not an opinion. You're just basically observing data.
I would agree with that. The idea though is, look, I know Avi Loeb has never strayed off the entire Oumuamua could be an alien artifact. I champion his understanding with that. But if I'm going to add this to it, maybe it's my own reading between the lines here, John, before we move on. But once again, we have another person of note following up on the extraterrestrial front again. We just had Jim Van a couple weeks ago. We've had a number of other people starting to get this whole ET extraterrestrial conversation going.
No, and that's why I said, and the thing is that, look, it's very hard to know, because the thing is that everyone in their different perches of social media and public media, they know the terms, they know the words, they know the things that they're not supposed to say because of fear of what's going on. But then essentially, if someone else in their peer group mentions it, right, then they feel free to talk about it again, right? And so to me, that's something that's probably going to happen.
Wow. I love it. All right. Senator Gillibrand was very vocal in Washington, D.C., bringing up the UAP topic once again. I think we've all been waiting for her to open her mouth about this subject, as she has become the new heavyweight champion in D.C. for politicians, going after the UFO story. And good on her for it.
I'm going to start sending her Valentine's cards and stuff. I mean, this woman, okay. So before I go any further, I want to just read this one exchange that occurred. Okay. So keep in mind that what we have is we have hearings, for confirmation. They're confirmation hearings, right? And so different people come in for these. There's multiple people who are trying for the role, and so basically what she does is she specifically asks this candidate's position on specifically the case of the investigation into how the Department of Justice has been handling the UAP issue. Now, she never mentions Sheehan, she never mentions anyone else, but that's what she's referring to, okay? And so basically she spells this all out to him, and basically what he says is, I'm not familiar with it, right? And so she says, since you are not familiar with it, you can please familiarize yourself with this issue, and respond to those questions in writing before your confirmation, please. And so, I mean, this was a very, very strong statement on her part. She's like, basically, before you even have a chance of confirming, you must respond. You must actually go out and get educated on this, come to some sort of a logical conclusion, at least temporary conclusion, and formally write that back to me in writing. And I want that back before your confirmation hearing. I mean, she just gave him homework. I mean, it was like, in front of, everybody. I mean, it was awesome. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
Why do you think she is so staunch about this right now?
That's the other lovely part about this, is that what I have linked in my notes is I have the really good article that was over on Liberation Times about it. I have a link to the minute and 33-second video of her exchange with the senator, the senator and the other candidate. But if you go and you listen to the actual full confirmation hearing, what you will see is the question she asks before this question and after this question. And what becomes very, very clear is she goes after people with the exact same passion, with the exact same dictation, with the exact same cadence when it comes to health issues for veterans, any other political issues in the government, and then this UAP issue. And so you can tell that basically her passion and her energy is based in her, and it's not, specific to any one topic. It's her passion for her position and her passion for her belief that she can have an impact and do some good. And that is a very, very, very good characteristic to see in somebody.
I think it's great. You know what I want to see? I want to see her push these potential, confirmation hearings to their limits regarding this subject. And I love the fact that Senator Gillibrand just refuses to take her foot off the gas pedal regarding this subject. That tells me a couple of things. She either got scared by what she learned, all right, or potentially she's an experiencer herself and has seen things that she cannot explain. Because when somebody goes hard on a subject like she is, there's a reason, John. There is a major reason. It's not just out of curiosity.
For normal humans, I 150% agree with her. And I think that one of those two reasons are likely in play. But we have to consider that because of what type of human she is, which is that of a politician, it's also a strong possibility that she has advisors that have gone out and done polling and have come
True.
back to her and said, oh my gosh, you would not believe the impact this is having on us. Go full horse, right? I mean, and so that could be in play as well.
And I think you're right. I think that's a third option. I apologize, but I don't know. Could it be something?
Yeah, there's no way to know. Yeah.
Because the other thing that if I could say anything to her, though, I would still just caution her. Stop with the threat narrative. I understand it. I get it. But look into the topic a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or her advisors to do it. All right, let's get right to Luis Elizondo. He was on another radio show last night and talking about some pretty interesting topics regarding UAP and what's surrounding him.
Yeah, so this was fun, and a quick nod to Fade to Black and Jim Church for hosting this and so forth. But yeah, it was a super interesting interview. Elizondo was really, really, really pumped. His energy levels were fantastic, and you're starting to see, as I think we first saw come out in your interview with him. You're starting to see his spine more and more and more in a good, healthy way. Standing up for things and having a stronger opinion about certain things, which I'm really enjoying. But there was a couple highlights and I recommend everyone go listen to the interview. It's good. A couple highlights that came out of it. So first off, Elizondo's been at this for a while now, and he's gone on, multiple trips to DC. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't even imagine how many total, but as far as for UAP issues, he's taken several trips there. And basically what he at least, said, on the show, which, hopefully he was being straight with us, was that this was by far the most productive trip he'd ever had to DC on the topic. And that Chris Mellon was with him, that it was a crazily, a very successful trip. He went on to say that they discovered through the process, and they can't say for sure whether this had a direct impact, but that article that Chris Mellon recently published in the debrief, the fairly dense 12-page one, that they heard about it while they were in DC, and that article had actually reached some of the highest levels in government. It was that impactful. And it was widely read by some very important people. He wouldn't say who, but it went to some very, very high ranks. And so hats off to Chris Mellon for writing that, because it was a very brave article for Chris Mellon to write. And so, once again, we have no way of knowing whether there was any direct relationship between these things. But you got to understand, government is it's still people, right? So everyone works the same way. So, if you're halfway toward a decision and some other thing happens that tips you in a certain direction, those are the kind of things that kind of tip you one way or the other, right? And so it's not to say that that this article nailed something, but it could have been that someone was not sure whether to take a meeting or not, and did because they read this article, right? Those are the kind of things that happen that can have a huge impact. I mean, huge impact later on in life, right? or later off in the cycle. Now, the one quote I did want to kind of throw out there, because it was something that Elizondo did not say himself, but it was something that that Church had said, that he'd said to him earlier. And but I wanted to quote it directly, because this is somewhat out of character for Luis Elizondo, and so I think it's really appropriate. And the first letter is foul language, so I'll save you guys from that. But basically, what he said is, this is all about to hit the fan. Basically, he was saying that everything's about to come out, and then he went on to say that there, in recent weeks, there have been multiple events that have occurred, and so you're thinking, okay, he says it's the most productive meeting ever. Okay, that's great. He says things are about to hit the fan. Okay, that's a little more sky high sort of stuff. Talk about the Mellon article. Okay, that's cool and all. But then he starts talking about recent events, right? So the interview pushed back. Well, wait, what do you mean by events? Like, you don't mean like Tic Tac type events, do you? And Elizondo responds with, yes.
Wow.
Now that was not what I was expecting to hear out of his mouth. Now he said yes, and then he followed it on with, and other types of events as well. So it's not to say that it was only, but for him to be challenged, for him to say multiple events, like recent events in the past couple weeks, for him to say multiple, impactful events seen by multiple branches of the military, not just the Navy. That was another point that came out. And then for that to be pushed back upon and say, but you don't mean like a Tic Tac event, do you? And for him to then, not take that out, but step up to it and say yes. I was honestly, I was shocked. I really was. I was quite shocked.
Wow. This was also the first time that Elizondo has spoken publicly since the highly controversial documentary that was made about him by another YouTube channel. Did he mention anything about that?
No, not that I'm aware of. He didn't mention anything about that. He's basically, I honestly, I'm not. I think at this point, I'm not. I don't know, but I'm not sure he cares. Now he did at one point in the discussion talk about the fact that there were a lot of really negative people at play, and that there was a lot of actual criminal activity at play, and if someone were to kind of like re-listen to his language, you might be able to parse it to indicate that there was some sort of an indication that that there was something going on about that case, but he did not speak about it directly at all. He basically, honestly, I'd forgotten about it until you said something.
Well, you know what? It's just one of those things we had to mention. I was wondering if he did. I didn't get a chance to hear the interview last night because obviously I'm preparing for our show and then into our show. So, good on him for taking the high road with it. That's for sure. That's very much for sure. Now, back to the fact that he's saying there have been new Tic Tac incidents going on, or incidents going on you're nodding your head, shaking your head.
I'm because of the amount that you can read into that statement, I am absolutely in shock that he left that out there like that. Honestly, I would have advised him not to. I would have said, tighten that up, man, because you're leaving that way too open. Because the thing is that if I were to interpret it, I would interpret it and say, okay, what makes the Tic Tac event so significant, and we've heard him say it, is that there are multiple data sources, right? Multiple confirming data sources. So is that what he means? Okay, that makes logical sense, because if it was picked up by one of the branches of the government and it was done in military settings, then you would have multiple settings. If he's specifically talking about the Tic Tac itself and what it did and how it behaved, that's a very different thing, and that would still qualify with what he said. And so that's why I say I think his language is a little loose.
Wow. I guess we're just going to have to wait till it all comes out. I'm wondering if this means we're going to get new videos. I don't see them giving big time information. I think the trickle effect continues.
Yeah, well, and the really hard part, because someone asked me about this the other day about whether I thought we're going to see new videos anytime soon, and we keep hearing whispers. We heard whispers about a February 15th thing for a while. We heard about a March 15th thing for a while. We've heard things, and if you go back historically, in the weeks before a new report has come out, some video has actually come out. But here's the problem: none of them have been officially released. Every time any of this recording to come out, it's been a one-off. Every one has been different. It's been a one-off situation, which means there's no consistency, there's no pattern, and there's no way to predict whether it's going to happen or not. So it sucks because it means that we can't actually predict whether any video will come out or not. But my hopes is that something will. It's just a question of where it comes from.
All right. Finally tonight, we are going to take a look at a weird picture.
Yes.
That you wanted to kind of share.
Yes.
So tell us about this photo for our radio audience.
Yeah. So basically, this is a so let me first say that I don't share Mars videos. I don't share Mars photos. I don't do this for a reason, because I understand how human minds work, and because it's so easy to see things in everything and get very upset about it and blah blah blah. This is the first thing I have seen ever that I have been like, wow, I don't know what to do with that.
Once again, for our radio audience who can't see this, we need to
please. I apologize. Sorry, I saw it up on your screen and I got stuck, hung up on staring at it again. So basically, what it looks like is it looks like something that was very specifically made. It's a piece of material that appears to have been carved into certain angles, with certain waves, with certain patterns, with certain flow to it, that almost looks like it might have been some sort of a tool of some sort, but not a tool that I would recognize in any way, shape, or form. But this thing honestly, it's beautiful. It's art.
It looks like a duck.
Okay, I could see that. Assuming, depending on and the problem is we don't know if we're looking at the bottom of it, the top of it, and it doesn't mean that it's not natural. No, look at this. That still could. I can think of some pretty weird circumstances where something like that could possibly happen. But to me, it doesn't look like very likely. To me, it looks like somebody dropped that, right?
Yeah,
That's what it looked like to me.
Where was this found on Mars? Number one, but number two, was it found by the rover or was it found by something else? Do we know the actual size of it?
In the I need to go back to the original. In the original picture, they have the size information down at the bottom. So I don't remember it being very large. And my understanding is that this was captured by the latest what's the name of the latest one? I forget the name of the latest one. It has a helicopter that goes off. Anyway,
so Perseverance.
Is it Perseverance? I think it is, because Opportunity was before. So basically, it was taken. It's by that mission. It's
incredible.
A beautiful photo.
I would like that. Honestly, it does look like a piece of art.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. And the thing is, the thing that's so hard to understand about it is that there are so many different angles on it that if you were to assume that this was done by some sort of a wind, right? Then some other impact would have had to turn that thing at many, many, many different angles and left it there for some period of time for that new plane to have been created, and then rotated. Honestly, it'd be difficult to do.
Very true. John, another impressive segment of the Unbiased UFO Report.
Thank you,
Your hat looks fantastic. And you know what? Where can people follow you on Twitter?
It's basically just my handle Desmodin. So yeah. So but I'm happy to talk to people about it on Twitter.
Wonderful.